Somewhere in Idaho, right now, there's a guy who works at a chip factory. His financial advisor calls him for a routine check-in, and the guy says almost casually, "Well, it looks like I'm $1 million richer." 8 days. Not 8 years. 8 days. His company's stock exploded so fast because of the AI boom that his stock options alone made him a millionaire overnight. Now hold that thought, because in the exact same country, at the exact same moment, there's a school teacher who has worked for 30 years, saved every single month, never missed a contribution, and is still nowhere close. Same country, same year, two completely different realities. So here's the real question we're answering today. In 2026, what does it actually take to become a millionaire? And more importantly, a multi-millionaire? Is it luck? Is it timing? Or is there an actual formula hiding underneath all of it? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you stand and exactly what it would take to change that. Quick disclaimer before we go further. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, not personalized financial advice. Every number here comes from public research, government data, and verified 2026 wealth reports, but your own situation is unique, so always think critically and talk to a licensed professional before making real decisions with real money. Here's what we're covering today. What wealthy actually means in 2026 and why the goalposts have moved. The strange millionaire boom happening right now. And the real story behind it. The hidden divide between the average American and the typical American, and why it's widening. Who actually becomes a millionaire in real life once you strip away the lucky headlines? The exact mathematical formula behind building wealth. How people go from their first million to multiple millions. And finally, a warning almost nobody gives you about what $1 million will actually be worth by the time you get there. Let's get into it. For decades, millionaire was the finish line, the word your grandparents used for someone who had made it. But ask Americans today what net worth you need to be considered wealthy, and the answer isn't $1 million anymore. According to the Charles Schwab Modern Wealth Survey for 2025 and 2026, the average American now says you need $2.3 million to be considered wealthy, actually down slightly from $2.5 million in 2024, as people recalibrate around inflation. It also depends who you ask. Gen Z sets the bar at $1.7 million. Millennials and Gen X both land around $2.1 million, and baby boomers push it highest at $2.8 million. Different generations, different definitions of enough. Now let's get statistical, because perception and reality are different things. Rank Americans by actual net worth, and the top 10% starts around $970,000 to $1.8 million. The top 5% sits near $1.17 million. The top 2% is about $2.7 million, almost exactly matching what people feel wealthy means. And the top 1% needs somewhere between 11.6 and 13 million. For reference, the U.S. estate tax threshold in 2026 is $15 million per person, which economists use as a rough proxy for where top 1% wealth begins. So if your goal was simply become a millionaire, sit with this statistically that no longer puts you near the top. It puts you around the top 10%, at best. The $1 million milestone isn't dead, but its meaning has quietly shifted. Here's where 2026 gets genuinely wild. According to the UBS Global Wealth Report 2026, the world added nearly 1 million new dollar millionaires in 2025 alone, roughly 2,680 a day. Globally, the United States is the epicenter. More than 440,000 Americans became millionaires in 2025, over 1,200 a day in this country alone. Include real estate and the total U.S. millionaire population now sits around 24 million households. Why the sudden explosion? 2 words: the stock market. The S&P 500 rose about 18% last year, the Nasdaq jumped around 21%, and wealthy Americans leaned in harder, increasing their stock allocations from 22% of their portfolios to 27%. There's a more specific story hiding inside those numbers, though: the AI boom. Remember that Idaho story from the beginning? That wasn't fiction. Micron Technology, a chipmaker that's been around since the 1970s, saw its stock price surge almost 700% in a single year, driven by AI chip demand. Employees who had stock options, some of whom had worked ordinary factory jobs for years, woke up as paper millionaires without changing a single thing about their daily life. Analysts are calling this the AI wealth effect, and it's touching factory towns and ordinary employees, not just Silicon Valley. It's even reshaping where wealth physically moves. Residency and citizenship applications by wealthy individuals surged worldwide through 2025 and into 2026, with American applications doubling year over year, as newly wealthy people look for tax efficiency and stability. Cities like Dubai have overtaken London and New York on global safe haven wealth rankings as high net worth individuals shift toward real estate and hard assets. But here's the catch, and we'll come back to this: a lot of this new wealth is on paper. Stock options. Unrealized gains. It can double in 8 days, and it can fall in 8 days too. Paper wealth and real, liquid wealth are not the same thing, and mixing them up is one of the most common mistakes people make when tracking their own progress toward millionaire status. Now here's the uncomfortable part most finance channels skip. The Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances shows the average American household net worth is $1.06 million. The average American, on paper, is a millionaire. But look at the median, the household literally in the middle, and that number is only around $193,000 to $200,000. That gap, over $800,000, is the story of modern wealth in America. The average is dragged upward by a small number of extremely wealthy households. The same way one billionaire in a room with 10 random people makes everyone technically average out to being a billionaire, while 9 of them go home with nothing. And this divide is widening, not shrinking. UBS reported global personal wealth grew 10.8% in 2025, the fastest pace in years. But in that same report, median wealth actually declined in most countries tracked. The world got richer on paper. Most typical households got poorer in real terms. Capgemini's World Wealth Report 2026 confirms the same for the U.S. millionaire wealth at a record high, driven by the stock market, while roughly half of Americans still don't have a retirement plan through their job, facing the same inflation without any portfolio compounding quietly in the background. This is the real on track or not divide in 2026. It's not about willpower anymore. It's about access to the stock market, to retirement accounts, to the specific companies riding the AI wave. So let's remove the outliers, the overnight AI millionaires, and look at how the typical millionaire actually got there. The average millionaire today has a net worth of about $2.2 million. And they're 61 years old. 66% of all millionaires fall between 60 and 79. Only 8% are under 30, and only 2% are in their 30s. Wealth building, for almost everyone, is a multi-decade project, not an event the typical self-made millionaire took about 32 years to get there. Now the myths start collapsing. Myth 1. You need a high salary. false engineers and teachers are more represented among millionaires than bankers or entertainers. It's not about a huge paycheck, it's about what you do with a normal one. Myth 2. You need to pick winning stocks. False broad market index funds have created more millionaires than stock picking ever has. Boring, diversified, and consistent beats clever almost every time. Myth 3. It's too late after 40. False, harder yes, impossible. No, many people in their 40s and 50s still reach millionaire status through catch-up contributions and a higher savings rate. Take a typical case researchers use: a school teacher earning $55,000 a year, contributing steadily for 3 decades, never chasing a hot tip, never timing the market. No windfall, no inheritance, just the same index fund, decade after decade, and at retirement well over $1 million. Not exciting. That's the point. And here's the one statistic that matters more than all the others combined. 94% of millionaires live below their means. Not income, not luck, not investment savvy, just consistently spending less than they earn for decades without fail. Let's get mathematical, because this is where it comes together. Every dollar you'll ever accumulate depends on exactly 3 levers: your savings rate, how much of your income you actually invest; your time horizon, how many years that money grows; and your rate of return, how hard it works while you're not looking. Experts recommend saving 10 to 15% of income, but if millionaire status is the real target, most models point to 15 to 25%, and the FIRE movement pushes above 50% for people compressing their timeline. In real numbers, $500 a month at 8% hits $1 million in about 31 years. $1,000 a month at 8%, about 26 years. A high earner maxing tax-advantaged accounts, around $2,667 a month, hits it in roughly 13 years at 7%. Here's why compound interest feels like nothing until it's everything. At $10,000 invested, 7% earns about $700 a year, basically invisible. But at $200,000 invested, that same 7% earns $14,000 in a single year, often more than the monthly contribution itself. That's the moment money starts working for you, not magic, just math catching up to time. And time is the most unfair advantage in personal finance. Someone starting at 20 needs roughly 6 times less saved per year than someone starting at 50 to hit the same target at the same age. Not twice as little. 6 times. Which is why every advisor repeats the same boring line: the best time to start was yesterday, the second best time is today. It's repeated because it's mathematically, provably true. Okay, so say you hit $1 million. In 2026, that's not the finish line. It's roughly the starting point of the top 10%. So how do people push from 1 million into 2, 5, 10 million and beyond? A few patterns show up again and again. First, they reinvest raises. Not just salary wealth managers say route at least 50% of every raise directly into investments before your lifestyle expands around it, avoiding what's called lifestyle creep, one of the biggest silent killers of long-term wealth. Second, real estate becomes a real lever. 78% of millionaires hold real estate as a key asset, giving appreciation plus, often, rental income compounding alongside the stock portfolio. Third, multiple income streams stack: a job, a side business, investment income, rarely just one source. Fourth, they max out every tax-advantaged account available. In 2026, workers 50 and older get an extra $7,500 catch-up contribution to their 401k and an extra $1,000 to their IRA. Sounds small. Compounded over 10 or 15 years, it isn't. And fifth, less strategy and more mindset. They treat high-interest debt like credit cards as the enemy of compounding. You cannot out-invest a 22% interest rate. Every dollar of high-interest debt works against every principle we just covered. Before we wrap up, one warning almost nobody puts in these videos, and it might be the most important part of the whole script. $1 million today is not the same as $1 million tomorrow. Since 1990, U.S. prices have roughly 2.4 times, meaning a millionaire from 1990 would need close to 2.4 million today for the same real purchasing power. Run that forward at a modest 3% inflation. $1 million today is only worth about $550,000 in today's purchasing power by 2046. Same number on the statement, less than half the buying power. This is why planners increasingly talk about a real, inflation-adjusted target instead of a flat dollar figure. If your plan is simply reach 1 million and stop thinking about it, inflation is quietly working against you the whole time. It's also why today's paper millionaires, the ones created overnight by stock surges like Micron's, are told the same thing by their advisors: don't change your lifestyle based on a number that can move 700% in a year. Real wealth is what survives a downturn. Paper wealth is what evaporates in one. So let's bring this back to the question in the title. In 2026, being a millionaire no longer means being wealthy by most people's own definition. It puts you around the top 10% statistically, respectable but not rare anymore, especially with over 1,200 new millionaires created every day in America alone. But here's the takeaway: underneath all the numbers and all the AI stock surges, the formula hasn't changed in 100 years. Save a real percentage of what you earn. Give it real time. Let a real rate of return compound quietly in the background. And resist the one thing that quietly kills more wealth-building plans than any recession ever has: lifestyle creep. The Idaho factory worker got lucky with timing. Most people won't get that 8-day miracle. But the 94% who got there the boring way all started with a decision that looked too small to matter. So, are you on track? The honest answer is, you can actually calculate it. Your savings rate, your timeline, your expected return, those three numbers will tell you exactly where you'll be in 10, 20, 30 years from today. The only real risk isn't starting too late. It's never running the numbers at all.